Everybody, welcome to Chassidus in the morning. 15 minutes to change our lives. Kuntres Maamer Yud based onto a new topic. We'll start by giving tzedakah. Good tzedakah, shmakeres ha'geula. Giving tzedakah brings us Mashiach closer, and giving tzedakah helps live with Chassidus run. This whole series is in honor of all the Yidden in Eretz Yisroel, and all the soldiers, and all the unfortunate captives, which is pretty sad. And we're going to focus on Inbar bat Yafat. That Mitzvah Hashem should come back, should be healthy, should be safe, and only good. Okay. So, like I said, or like I wrote up also, this is a new topic. So we're going to discuss is a very interesting topic. Realizing, and this is part of the process of getting in touch with Chassidus, in touch with ourselves, is recognizing how we, on one hand, we're afraid of other people seeing us, and we in a certain sense, maybe it's subconscious more than conscious, we put on a show. Whereas when we're doing private, even though Hashem sees us, but we don't act the same. And I can tell you, I'll speak for myself. I noticed this idea, and so this is part of the recognition of where we're holding. Let's see. Maamer Yud base, Perek Aleph. So is page 185 in the green version. Put some in mind. The Gahas translation. Anyway, so is another thing. This is another foolishness of the Yitzhahara. Shemefatehu, that he fools you, and he says to us, Shelo yir'enu adam, and no one's going to see what you do. Meaning, we can live a double life, essentially. Yeah, the Yitzhahara says, you can do what you want, and you can pretend to be all frum. Unfortunately, there's not one. There's a few stories of people, let's say, selling meat like a kosher butcher, and they and they got caught. It happened in California a few years ago, and they found out and they caught the person selling non-kosher meat. So if people think to themselves they can do this thing, they're not going to get caught. That's an extreme example. But I remember a more practical example. I remember the one time there was a guy he seemed very chassidish and very learned, very, very learned. And I remember it was like Simcha or something. It was years ago. And he got drunk. The way he behaved was embarrassing. And and he thinks maybe he can hide himself, what he does, but when he got drunk, it revealed it. And every time, and every one of us, we have this that like we hide ourselves. We don't even realize it necessarily, but then things will come out. But also we have to recognize that things that come out. Sorry about that. That things come out, like in the opposite hand, that we're over judgmental of ourselves. This is another issue, but let's just read a little bit and get into it. If the person doesn't have Aveira, doesn't want other people to know. That's also why when you have a Farbrengen, generally people will talk about achlatzes, talk about issues that are very not so down to the nitty gritty. It's a little more higher, right? But people don't want to be honest. I remember one time I was at a Farbrengen, and the guy said, "I take an achlata to wash nagavasa," and I loved it. I was like, someone's being real over here. Most people not going to say that because we all wash nagavasa, But he was being honest, and he's like, "Yeah, well, I didn't wash nagavasa, and I want to be honest with myself, so I need to take it achlata." And this is what we're saying. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, as Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai said to his students, the famous Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai in Brachos, on base, he said, what he said to his students, he was passing away. And the student said, like, what's your parting message? So what did he say? He goes, Ratzai, Shetehei Meir Shamayim Aleichem, Kemeir Basav Adam. Should be, Ratzai, it should be Hashem's will, that it should be for you the fear of Hashem, to you like the fear of flesh and blood. So you should fear Hashem like you fear your friend. So they said to him, Amrulay Talmidav, Ad Kan? That's it. Like just like like that's how much you should fear Hashem. Not any greater, like Hashem, the king of all kings. You know how much more so if you're afraid of a king, you should fear Hashem. And he's telling them in times of the Gemara. As long as you fear the same way you fear your friend. Yeah, so like Rashi explained it to me. Like, no wonderment. Really? Not more than the fear of flesh and blood? Shouldn't I fear Hashem more than I fear a person? So Amar, so he said to them, Halavai, if only that it should be like the fear of flesh and blood. So Rashi saying. Because if you would, you'd stop yourself from many averis. So he explains the Rashab. Tedu, you should know. When a person does an avera, says hidden from afraid of the creations of people seeing them. And he knows he knows Hashem sees everything. So we behave a certain way because we don't want other people to see our faults. And at the same time, Hashem sees everything. Yeah. It doesn't stop us. That's what Rashi explains. Yeah. Any of them, because we say no one's going to see me. What does it mean no one's going to see me? It means Hashem's can see me, but it doesn't matter. Whatever. Whatever the excuse we give ourselves, but it doesn't stop us. We know Hashem sees us, just like a person sees us. In front of a person, we behave a certain way, we dress a certain way, we act a certain way. But when we're by ourselves in that room, which no one else is there, but of course Hashem is there and Hashem sees everything. Yeah, like we say, what is the person top Pesukim? Bini Hashem nitzav alav. Bini Hashem nitzav alav. Mlech al aretz kavod imavet alav. Avochin kles v'lev im evdikra. Hashem is standing over you and he's watching everything you do and he cares what you're doing. Hashem is there. Hashem is here. Hashem is there. Hashem is truly everywhere. Hashem is there, and he says, but that doesn't stop us, and we'll still do things. Now, this could be for a person that's learning this for the first time, never heard this idea before. Could be very like, what is going on here? I don't know what you're talking about. So the way we can figure it out is you ask yourself, do I behave exactly the same when I'm by myself versus when I am in public? And if it is the same, then this doesn't apply to you. But if it's not the same, then you ask ourselves, why is it different? What am I doing when I'm in public? And in private, what am I doing? And why? And is it because in public, I want to make sure I present myself in a certain way, which is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. I mean, the public persona is not bad. It's the private persona. The fact that when you're by yourself, you do things differently. Hashem's not there. And like the case of that story with my friend with the washing neglavasa. He was being very honest. But his challenge of washing neglavasa was because he was by himself. It was with Hashem. And when Hashem's there, he doesn't feel that fear of people. I'm sure when he's hanging out with his friends and he's staying asleep over at his friend's place, he's getting neglavasa. You know what I mean? That's what we're saying. So over there, mefateu, and this is what fools us the Yitzhar. Yitzhar, shelo yirenu adam, that no person will see me. V'lo yedu inyana of harayim. They don't know what's going on, and they don't see what's going on at home, and so we can do, so to speak, two-faced. And in truth, this is not so. This is what Rav Shab is saying. Everyone knows and recognizes. They see. The part of a person can do something that's suspectful in the eyes of people. Because of all the taivas of the Yetzer Hara. You do some foolish things that logically wouldn't happen. Like the example of that guy that when he got drunk, suddenly he was acting very wild and very wild. It brought up questioned his learning in my eyes, and it's not meaning to say that we should judge people using this story as an example, but we shouldn't judge, and everyone has their own issues. It's fine, but we're using this example that when we saw him behaving so wild, so wild, it was off-putting. It was like, wow, but he's always learning, and now he's acting, and this is like something's off. And I don't know anything about his private life. And amidst Hashem's private life, he's perfect. And this is just an issue that he has with his drinking, and that's two separate things. But the point is, what we're showing is that we have to realize we can't fool ourselves into thinking we can hide who we are, or recognize that the show that we're putting on outside is the reality. Is this who we want to be? And we have to just implement it into the inside when we're by ourselves. Because like we said, logically, a person wants to do the right thing and knows what to do, and that's what they're following. But the Yitzhahara fools us. And he says, don't worry about it. And it doesn't. But when I'm saying when I'm talking about the Yitzhahara, it's not exactly the way he says it, but I'm just using the example. But we have to recognize within ourselves. If let's say the example is washing Naglavasam, I don't think we say to ourselves, "Hey, I'm not going to go wash Naglavasam." Why don't you? No one's watching me, so I don't have to wash Naglavasam. We don't say that. We say, I'm tired. And then you just go to bed. You don't want get the Naglavasam or whatever. Things like that. Yitzhahara is very cunning, and this is what we're here. What the Rashab is doing is helping us recognize the Yitzhaharas. Yitzhahara ma'avira al daita v'aldas koine ve'ese kamen yanim shtusim shebazeh nase chashud be'enei bnei adam. He becomes suspect in the eyes of people. V'neistim daita malav, and they put their minds and start paying attention to them. Wow, leida inyano, like what is going on with that person? It looks a little strange. And the point he's trying to tell us here, we can't live a double life. It's not going to work. Now, I think it seems to me that this is someone on more of an extreme example that are like literally, trying to live a two-faced life. This is sort of one of the things that comes out when like Chabad Chassidim, for better or for worse, you see them a little bit schwach sometimes with things, and they're not behaving or not. But the idea is that they're being real, can't be pretend. Whereas in some other places, this true life is a lot more present, and they behave and they dress a certain way and they look a certain way. But what's going on inside could be totally different. But the reality is, we have to recognize that it's going to be known. Like we see clearly, you see in something they say, or things, the way they do things, that causes a person to reveal himself. Like, let's say you'll see a person that normally is very menschlich, very nice, very put together, and they'll like say something a little rough, or like they'll swear, let's say, and they won't recognize it because they're like meaning you can't live a lie. It's very hard, and so you get caught and you do things suddenly like, oh yeah, you got caught. Kibarahu, because these things are not good and they get revealed. Like we by accident slip. That's why when people lie, you can't keep remembering which lie is which and what you're holding, and it gets caught. So he's trying to tell us, Rashab, is we should recognize this. We shouldn't try to live this. Recognize the double life, double standard we're living, and try to fix it. Ve'ein kavana al nyane isur dibur kamoy sheker chilus lashon hara ve'divrei nivul b'lvad. We're not just talking about like speech, and lashon hara and frivolity and things like this. Speaking not nicely. El kavana degam kishem mesaper eze sipur l'chei einay ela kamoy sfas yesem V'dibur shel batal, just stum speaking. Because I'm talking about even when you just stum speak. Reveals a lot. And speaking to people, they can reveal a lot without recognizing it. And that's what he's saying. We have to, and basically, he's trying to forewarn us that don't live a double standard life because it's going to get found out. It's not going to, people are going to know. I think also, on the other hand, we have to recognize that we could be a lot better, that we could be in our generation is a little different than our Shabs, that people are a lot harder on themselves. So it could be that we're better than what we think. We're being on the negative too much. Here he's saying you recognize what you're holding and that don't live a double life. And I'm just adding to it that maybe also we could say that in our generation we have to make sure we're not being hard on ourselves. Oh, you see, even though in public I'm acting all this, but really I'm like that. And that's not true. That's 100% not true. Like the Rebbe said to a guy, they said, when a guy comes to Shul Yom Kippur, he's being a faker. So the Rebbe said, the day that he comes to Shul Yom Kippur, that's the one day a year that he's being honest. So the good that we do, that's not being fake. That's being real. It's not that the public persona of ourselves is the fake one and the private one is the real one. It's not. It's the public persona that we're putting on, that in the positive, of course, is the real us. And the one at home is the Yetzer Hara taking charge of us. And this is exactly what we're saying here. The Yetzer Hara takes charge and he says, no one sees it. And that's why Rav Yochanan Zakkai said to his students, have the fear of Hashem on you, because of Hashem on you, like the fear of Basav Adam of people. Because by in public we behave so well, we should feel that way at home as well, and recognize Hashem is just like your friend. It's like, and so they said to him, just like my friend. It's like, well, yeah, look how well you behave in front of your friend. This is how you should behave by yourself, and recognize it, and not let the Yetzer Hara come and tell you, Dad, don't worry, no one's watching. What do you mean by Hashem? I don't know about Hashem. We're good. We're good. And that's what we're saying. So, mitzvah Hashem to be continued tomorrow. We should recognize these ideas and try to apply it and have an amazing day.